Hey there, girls and friends. Bringing a couple of seeds in the old greenhouse. I do hope that you are having a wonderful day, because I am. Because guess what? I'm gardening. And now we're coming here into the greenhouse. By the way, this is my portable greenhouse, also known as the Haven. And we're coming here in the greenhouse to do one of my favorite things, and that's seed starting. So let's put our jacket down and get to work. And now the seeds that we're gonna get started today are some seeds that I'm actually really excited to be growing this season. And that's going to be, and I apologize if I mess up the name of this one, but Gaillardia Goblin. I'm actually really excited to be growing these this season because, I mean, first, let's look at this packet. This is a beautiful, beautiful flower right here. And not only is it beautiful, but this is a first year bloom too. It's a perennial. So it'll come back every single season. And then we're going to get these beautiful, 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 um, fiery color blossoms that I just can't wait to see in the garden. Seed starting truly has to be one of my favorite joys when it comes to gardening. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love harvesting. I love transplanting as well. But I don't know. It's just something about seed starting that just gets me all geeked up for the new year. I mean, granted, on the date of filming this, it is December 29th. Um, we are quite some whiles away. I mean, we're about, what, 3 months away from spring, but this is what gets me going. And now the beautiful thing, the reason why I want to go ahead and start these is because the goblin, the Gaillardia, if I'm saying that correctly, if I'm wrong, just let me know in the comments, right? But the Gaillardia, it's a perennial that if we direct sow this, of course, we can start it about, after our projected frost date. But with this one, if we're starting indoors, I did my research. We can start at about 8 to 10 weeks before our anticipated frost date, the end of our anticipated frost date. And now, if you're new here, I'm in Zone 8B, North Texas, just south of Dallas area. But I want to go ahead and start these early because I want these blooms, these blossoms, as soon as our spring season starts. I want to really get that rebirth of life. Winter can really be a drag. Uh, you have all of the plants that are going dormant and end of life cycle. Of course, we do have our perennials and such that come back, and then we have our long day plants like our cilantro and broccoli and brassicas that do perfectly fine. But it's just something about that pop of color that comes with the spring and that regeneration of life to let you. I know people have talked about it before, that seasonal depression, but for me, that that reward, that goal of knowing that those new blossoms are coming, those new plants are coming for the spring, it to use the cliche, chicken soup for the soul. But I digress, as you know I do. And I'm sure you didn't come here to listen to philosophy as per Gray. So with that being said, let's go ahead and talk about these seeds a little bit. And yes, they are from my friends over at Botanical Interest. Honestly, they're my favorite seed company. So yes, I have our Gaillardia goblins, and my son, he loves the name Goblin, right? But let me show you the seeds on these. All right, so this is a, let's see, we just lost one. So we might get one growing in the greenhouse. There we go, we found it. All right. We call those volunteers, right? But I'm not mad at that volunteer at all. But let's see if we can zoom in here so you guys can see that. That's our seed here. We're talking about a seed that's maybe, we're going to say about an eighth of an inch to maybe a sixth. Yeah, I'm going to say an eighth of an inch. Just my eyeballing it here. This is what we're going to be planting today. And I've already pre-mixed. I didn't use a seed starting mix when it comes to our soil. And that's primarily just because the soil I had on hand was already a nice, well draining mix. Yeah, there's some organic matter in there, so we may get a little fungi showing up in this growth of these seeds, but I'm okay with that. Plus, I knew this was going to be out in my portable greenhouse, my haven, so I'm okay with this not being a particular seed starting blend. This is a own, you know, a custom blend, a urban gardening with gray blend. So in this blend, I do have, of course, you can see our chunks here. We have our perlite, we have some organic matter, but this is a nice, well draining soil mix. Oh, and plus I have a little bit of peat in here as well for the slight acidity that once these seeds actually start to germinate, um, the plants will have everything they need. And now I'm sitting here holding a seed in my hand, like you can actually see this seed. But let's talk about the seed a little bit, because I get a lot of questions sometimes like, Gray, first question, right? When do I start sowing my seeds? I'm going to put it to you like this: when you want to. That's my logic. Now, of course, you want to do so before your anticipated last frost date. But you know what? If you have the real estate, if you have the space, start them earlier if you want to. For instance, I have my tomatoes up here. Let's take a look at those. And now I have these beautiful volunteer tomatoes. And if you've seen in other videos, I speak about these growing up out of my compost. But I have these beautiful tomatoes here that started in my compost. And yeah, they're growing pretty big. But because I have the luxury of having this portable greenhouse, I have more real estate that I can continuously keep on growing. So, when it comes to starting your seed and starting your germination, I'm going to say if you have the space, start as early as you can. I mean, if you're like me, granted, I know everybody's not 100% like me, but I love seed starting. So I'm going to go ahead and get these guys going. But back to our subject at hand. All right, so this is our, like I said, about a 16th of an inch seed for our Gaillardia Goblin. And when it comes to this one, we're looking for an overall seed depth of about a quarter to an inch. Now, how could you know, or how could you eyeball what's a quarter of an inch? You can take, and many of you know about my mic that I usually put on my stick. This is stick mic. You can use this kind of like as a dibbler and just kind of, as far as depth, we're talking about a quarter of an inch. This comes from being an engineer and a mechanic. We're looking, let's see, that's about yeah, that's about a quarter of an inch right there. And we could mark this stick off with tape so you know exactly the depth you're going for. But we're just going to take that in there, just give a little poke, drop our seed down in there, and then just cover. Reason being, and many of my true, gardening aficionados may know this. My advanced and my intermediate level, growers might already know this, that seed depth matters. And why am I going over this again? Well, because let's think about it. Not everybody's up to where maybe our skill level is at. So for my beginners, like, hey, why do we need to, make sure we're placing it at a certain seed depth? Well, it all depends on germination rate of the plant in question. Well, actually, not a germination rate, but our seed's ability to germinate. All right. So, different seeds have differing triggers as far as germination goes. Some are photoblastic, meaning that they will germinate based off exposure to light, right? So, for instance, let's say hypothetically we were growing something like, let's say, a tobacco leaf, right? If we were growing tobacco is the seed for it is like one of the smallest seeds as far as any kind of cultivation is concerned. And we're talking about seeds like the size of dust. Like the granules are smaller than that of sand. Really, really small seeds. But a seed like that, we wouldn't necessarily cover because the seed is so small and it needs to have that access or that trigger that's caused from light. You remember being photoblastic, right? So photo meaning requires light to trigger that germination. If we covered it, one, it wouldn't get access to that set light, and then two, the seed wouldn't have enough energy. That new germination, that new seedling wouldn't have enough energy to push through the soil to be able to germinate. So in that scenario, we would actually just do like a light dusting right over our seed starting mix or our soil for direct sowing. Give it a little spray. I don't know why I paused there. I was like, where's my mister? Give it a little spray, access the light, and then boom, c'est très bon. She's all good to go, right? But in this scenario, we're not doing that, right? So this seed needs about a 1/4 inch depth. And in all actuality, and this of course is for my beginners. When it comes to seed depth of about a 1/4 inch, if it's not something that I need to go like really deep, like 1/2 inch or something like that, like or 2 inches, like if we're talking about garlic bulbs, honestly, I'll put my seeds on that top layer of soil, specifically when we're talking like our nursery pots or our seedling pots and so forth. And then I just sprinkle. Sorry, I had one of those moments where I went back to my 90s music and I thought about E40. I'm like, sprinkle me, man. And I'll just sprinkle a little bit of my seed starting mix of my soil right on top. And that's the depth you want. Don't go heavy handed, just kind of sprinkle a little bit and you'll be good to go. You just want barely just enough to be able to cover that seed. Make sense? And now, hypothetically, if you're saying to yourself, well, Gray, how do I know what's the soil depth for every single seed that I'm planting in the spring, right? Well, I'll give you a little tip. Your seed packet. Most of your commercial seed packet, and yes, this is botanical interest again, but most of your commercial seed packets are always going to essentially say what kind of depth that you're looking for as far as starting your seeds. So the information is right there on the seed packet. But if, let's say, you are a very eager beaver and you have planted some seeds and you have harvested them from your garden from last year and you don't remember the depth, you can always check out with your local ag extension. They're a cornucopia of just great, useful information that's specific to your growing zone and what you might be growing. And of course, you can always ask me, your friendly neighborhood gardener. There we have it. We have our Gaillardia Goblins all planted. I got 2 rows of them because this is about 24. I still do have more goblins that I can be planting in that seed packet. But what I think I'm going to do is I'm thinking that the seeds that I have left over, I'm probably going to do a little bit of succession planting. Do I have to? No. Do I gain any benefit from it? No. Maybe I might get like a stagger in my blooms so that they have a little bit of stagger to them. So, we don't have all our blooms showing at one time. But these are probably going to be direct sown. So they'll be started just a few weeks later than the ones that I've started indoors. Oh, another thing, and I forgot to mention, I apologize, I'm just so excited. But another reason why I picked this is not just based off the blooms and the height of the plant, because we're looking at a plant that's going to be between a foot to about a foot and a half tall, magnificent amount of blooms, and it's just, I mean, it's going to be amazing. But this is also a drought tolerant plant, so that's going to be great because remember, I'm out here in zone 8B, and yeah, your zones as far as the USDA is concerned is basically talking about your cold, right? But one thing to factor in, I'm in North Texas, and in those summer months, we definitely need something that's going to be drought tolerant. And this is a very long lasting bloom, so to take full advantage of it, I'm going to stagger them out so that I can have blooms going year round. But now that we've had our fun out in the greenhouse, let's go ahead and take things indoors because I want to show you the next set of seeds that I'm starting as well. And now that's going to bring us into my plant room, or like my kids like to call it, my jungle room, because I have so many plants in here. But I'm going to be starting a couple of seeds in here as well. And now the seeds I'm going to be starting in here, where did I put those seeds? Now see, that's one thing that I should be doing in the fall. I should be organizing my seeds. I should be doing some inventory. That's not the fun stuff. Seed starting is the fun stuff. Hold on just a second. There we go. So I am a little bit organized when it comes to my seeds. And the first set of seeds that I'm going to be growing, these are some marigolds that I harvested from 2024. So still got some life in them, and we've got quite a bit of marigold seeds. So I definitely want to get these started. And these are your typical French marigolds, red and gold. But now, here's the fun part. Again, from my friends over at Botanical Interest, these are red Metamorph French marigolds. And I am really excited to be growing these because these beautiful seeds These beautiful flowers, not beautiful seeds. Well, seeds are beautiful too. Anyway, I digress. These flowers, their blooms actually change color. And yep, you heard me 100% right. These red metamorph, hence the name metamorph, these flowers actually change color depending on soil temperature and your ambient temperature. So typically, this is not your bright red and gold marigold that you typically would see when you're talking about your marigolds, like either your red jester or your red knight, all French marigold varieties. This one is going to start off once you get your blooms, depending on the temperature, you're going to have more of a deep burgundy color. But as temperatures start to warm up, then you'll start to get the brighter red color, and then you will also start to get those pops of gold in the leaf. And so this is 100% for the sake of nostalgia and my childhood, because as soon as I saw these seeds, I was like, it made me think of the color shifting toys back in the day, like the cars or like the action figures and stuff. So it just, yeah, a trip down memory lane. I was like, I got to do it. And then plus, my son is 7, so he's gonna like to see that too, because he's my little plant guy. I think my daughter will really get a kick out of it too. So a lot of the gardening that I do is yes, because gardening is my peace and my joy, but my kids also get a kick out of it as well. And I think seeing that color shift is really going to be epic for myself, but also for my kids. And now, when it comes to our marigold, now a marigold is going to be different, unlike our last flower that we were talking about. Marigolds are an annual. So, they come, they bloom, they die off. They're not going to be a perennial like the last flower that we were speaking about. But I love the marigold because it does so much for the garden. One, having marigolds companion planted with a lot of like your fruits and vegetables, it actually does a lot for your soil. For instance, like planting maybe with like your tomatoes or even strawberries. One thing you guys know that I love planting, it helps drive off root knot nematodes, which definitely can affect your plants adversely, right? And then plus, I'm gonna be honest with you, when I started growing flowers, at first I was like, oh, it's for the pollinators and it's for pest control and so forth. But I like flowers too. So I'm growing these marigolds on the strength of the fact that I just love flowers. And now, with that being said, let me tell you something very cool about your marigold. So check this out. All right. This is a dried bloom from your marigold. This is another reason why I love the marigold so much, because it's the flower and the plant that keeps on giving. Now, when it comes to even like my red metamorph, right? When these flowers are dried up, this is holding like about a good 20, 30 seeds in this flower. All you have to do is take your flower, give it a little twist, yeah, and there we go. Look at that. Seeds, seeds, seeds. Okay. Maybe not 20, 30. Maybe I exaggerated just a little bit. But I mean, still, that is a gang of seeds. Well, no, maybe I'm right. Maybe I'll say 20 or 30. We're eyeballing it here. But these little guys right here, this is your seed. So all we have to do is take these and put a little bit of soil. And we got marigolds all over the place. Now, that's the challenge about growing your marigolds, too. My veteran marigold growers know that when you're planting your marigolds, you have to stay on top of your pruning. You have to stay on top of your spacing, because as these little seeds start to dry off, if you don't deadhead them and they start seeding where they're growing, then you're going to have a marigold problem. You're going to have a marigold mayhem, so to speak, because it will start taking over a bed. Because the marigold itself, I mean, we're looking at a plant that could easily get up to 2 feet tall, and it'll start branching out and actually can start casting a shadow on whatever you may be planting it with, if you're going the route of companion planting. Make sense? But you know what? With that being said, let's go ahead and get our seeds in some soil. Now, I'm using a differing style seeding tray with this, just because I mean, I have a cornucopia of different means of being able to grow seeds. And I actually like these trays a lot, because these trays have a little silicone down at the bottom. And so when you're pushing up your seedling, let's see if I can do that while I'm holding the seeds. You just give it a nice little push. I say I'm making it seem like it's so difficult, but really it isn't. But look at that. Boom. And your little seed cube comes right on out. So I like this. But I mean, this works for me. You do what works best for you. But I grow by multiple means. And then I'm going to take tiny shovel. I love tiny shovel because I'm going to use it as a dibbler because I want to go about a 1/4 inch, maybe 1/2 inch depth as far as my seeds are concerned. And again, just eyeballing here. And I'm going to put about 1 to 2 seeds in each single hole. Now, of course, we could just direct sow these marigolds. We don't have to start them so early, but this is just my personal preference because this makes me happy. And sometimes you just got to find things that bring you joy, right? I know a lot of folks like to call me like the Bob Ross of gardening. Like, I don't know, it's just gardening is what brings me peace. Oh, look, we had one of the marigold seeds kind of make its way already down there. Look, you're already trying to plant yourself. I'm not mad at you, buddy. Let's get you in your home. It's like Happy Gilmore, right? What did he say in the movie? When he was talking to the ball, "Are you too good for your home?" Now these seeds ready to go. Now I want to point them kind of facing down, just because I mean you see how this marigold seed is designed, and that's one thing you have to love and appreciate about nature. These seeds, the little plumage. I know I'm talking about birds when you say plumage, but it's just that little feathering that's on the back. That's designed so the seed can flutter around and kind of spread itself. So with that being said, now it'd be good if I actually look this information up, but just based off of what I know about seeds and what each seed holds, your end, if I can turn it around, there we go. Your end here, that's going to hold everything that the seed needs for germination. So we're talking about all of your proteins and everything that's going to be inside the seed. And then the end, or that plumage, as I kind of nicknamed it there, that's going to be your means of transportation. Because every seed has some means of transportation, you know, whether it's depending upon nature and birds to defecate it out, or, other animals, even large animals like us, right? To knock it around a little bit so we can get spreading. But there's every seed is always going to have some mode of transportation to continue on its species, right? But I mean that's what every life form does. It's always looking for a way to be able to procreate itself, to make more of itself. So yeah, with that being said, I am just kind of planting these seeds face down, and we go from there. And then now what we're going to do is we're actually just going to kind of cover those seeds with the soil that's already existing in our little seed tray here. And we're just going to kind of cover them a little bit. And now if you're sitting there wondering like, well, great, you said you're going to put 2 to 3 seeds in, per slot, per hole. What happens if they all germinate? If you get 100% germination rate, right? Well, that's the thing when it comes to germination. I know some folks will say, oh, 1 seed per hole, right? Nah, for me, gardening is a numbers game. If I want to maximize efficiency, I'm going to put 2 to 3 seeds per hole so that I can get almost a guarantee that I'm going to get all the germination I want. We're going back to the original thought, what I want to call it, the original thought exercise. There we go. Original thought exercise. What happens if you get 100% germination and everything germinates on you? You're going to have a bunch of plants growing out. They're going to be fighting for nutrition and fighting for space, right? 2 plants enter, 1 plant leaves. If you get that reference, give me a thumbs up in the comment. But anyway, what you do in those situations, you just thin the herd. That's it. You just take and you find the one that's the biggest, strongest, healthiest, and you thin back the smaller ones so that one, your healthier seedling, can continue to grow. So, but yeah, I mean, again, like I always uh, like to say, do what works best for you. But the reason why I do it is because I want to maximize efficiency and potential when I'm growing these seeds. And I don't want wasted cubes. I don't want wasted slots, wasted seeds, so to speak. So I'm going to put about 2 to 3 in there, and that works best for me. And now I'm gonna take and look. I'm adding a label. I'm adding a label. So my date on there, red Metamorph, December 29th, and I'm putting my label in my seed tray. Because in all earnest, if I didn't do this video, I would probably forget that part. Because that's what every gardener does, right? Like, I'll remember, I never remember. All right, so I got these guys labeled up, and I'm gonna place them down here on this bottom row here. And this bottom row, my hair is all in the way. Dreadlocks, right? Dreadlock problems. I'm gonna probably do this whole entire row will just be more marigolds because again, that efficiency, right? I want to be able to have enough marigolds to spread throughout the rest of the garden. I may take some to a couple of garden shows, sell, and or even share with other gardeners. That's what gardeners do. We like sharing. So yeah, I'm gonna keep going with these marigolds. Um, I'm excited. I know it's way early to be growing marigolds right now, but last year wasn't a good marigold year for me. Yeah, honestly, last year was just not a good marigold year for me, and I'm not really sure why. I planted marigolds quite some years now. I'm not gonna release my age, but let's just say I've been planting for quite some time, and yeah, last year I just could not. Get marigolds out of the blocks, like when you're running track or something like that. I just couldn't get it out of the gates correctly. So this year I'm starting super early so that I can adjust for any anomalies that may or may not take place. Because I mean that happens, right? That's the beauty of gardening. That's the beauty of growing, is adjusting with those challenges. Maybe my soil wasn't correct. Maybe it was too moist. Could have been any of those different variables. And plus, I had a lot of things all starting at the same time. So were my marigolds getting the attention they deserved? Probably not. Maybe I was just overextended. So that's why I'm going to go ahead and start these marigolds super early. Um, and again, this goes back to having the available space. So if my marigolds start taking off and I have all these marigolds, it's not a bad problem for me to have because I'll just take them out to the greenhouse um, or have them in little nursery pots all throughout the house until it's the time to appropriately plant them. At least that's my logic right now. We'll see what happens in a couple of weeks. But yeah, so with that being said, those are two of the flowers that I seed starting rather early out here in my garden. But you know what? Why don't you let me know? What are you ambitious like me? Ambitions of a gardener? Anyway, are you starting super early, or are you're a little bit more of a responsible gardener and waiting closer to your frost date? If so, what are some things that you're contemplating growing? What you're planning for your growing season, your garden season? I know I talked primarily just about flowers this time frame, right? But I love growing just about everything. So, of course, I'm going to be growing fruits and vegetables. I got a lot of great suggestions from the gardening community out in my new raised beds out in the front yard. I got a lot of great suggestions from Korean melon to asparagus. So, there's going to be a lot of things that I'm going to be growing this year. But, of course, I always like speaking with you, chatting with you guys. So let me know in the comments, what are some things that you're excited about growing in 2026? Is it something new? Is it something old? Is it fruit, vegetable, flower? Let me know what you're growing. But hey, as always, it's been amazing speaking with you. Um, may your weeds pull easy and may your blossoms forever bloom. I'll talk to you again real soon.